The best protection against buying a depreciating asset is knowing in advance which assets are depreciating. In the current SUV market, the spread between the top and bottom performers is wide enough that the choice of vehicle matters more than almost anything else in the transaction. 7. Jeep Wrangler 4xe. The 4xe was pitched as a smart upgrade to one of the most recognizable vehicles on the road. Plug-in power meets legendary off-road capability. That was the idea. For a short stretch, people bought it. Then a recall hit that cut straight through the entire value proposition. Toward the end of 2025, Jeep pulled back over 320,000 units of the 4xe due to a battery cell fault that had already caused fires. Not rumored fires, not theoretical ones. 19 confirmed incidents, and 9 of those came after owners had already gone through a software update that was supposed to be the fix. The patch didn't work, and Jeep's official guidance shifted to something that would make any plug-in hybrid owner laugh in disbelief. Stop charging it and park it away from structures and other vehicles. Telling the owner of a plug-in hybrid not to plug it in is the same as telling them the vehicle's entire reason for existing is currently suspended. Jeep has since confirmed the 4xe platform is being dropped after 2025. That announcement landed like a weight on the used market. A truck that originally stickered between $51,000 and $62,000 has seen owners absorb losses of up to $25,000 in a single year. The depreciation rate is sitting at 41.4%. 6 Dodge Hornet the Hornet and the Alfa Romeo Tonale are essentially the same vehicle underneath. Same platform, same mechanical layout, same recurring issues. The key difference is that the Tonale at least carries an Italian badge that some buyers still find appealing. The Hornet has no such cushion. Some Hornet units have been sitting on dealer lots for over 700 days. To move them, dealers have been cutting as much as $18,000 off sticker. When a brand new Hornet with a retail price between $31,500 and $41,500 is being handed over for $27,000, the used market has nowhere to go but lower. A one-year-old Hornet has to undercut that deal to attract any attention at all, which is how you end up with used examples trading between $18,005 and $22,500. This isn't standard depreciation. The whole pricing structure has come apart. Owners who paid full price are sitting on a 43% loss in year 1 with no clear floor in sight. Nissan Ariya never built real traction in the US. Dealers were averaging 312 days of lot time per unit, nearly a full calendar year of sitting unsold. That kind of inventory pressure hands buyers enormous power to negotiate on new models, and every discount on a new Ariya drags the floor on used ones even further down. Then Nissan made the call official. Import costs and a market crowded with cheaper rivals made it impossible to justify staying. The 2025 model year was the last one for the Ariya in the United States. When a brand pulls a model entirely, used buyers treat remaining stock like a liability rather than a deal. A vehicle that sold new between $41,000 and $49,000 is now sitting in the $21,500 to $26,000 range on the used market. Year 1 owners have lost up to $23,000 on a car that was barely 12 months old. The depreciation rate is 48%. 4 Honda Prologue. The Prologue carries a Honda badge, but behind that badge is a General Motors Ultium platform, the same one underpinning the Acura ZDX. Honda built the Prologue through a short-term partnership with GM, and they've already told the market that they're moving past it. The next generation of Honda EVs will run on Honda's own in-house platform. That transparency is honest, but it is brutal for anyone who already bought one. Knowing the manufacturer has publicly moved on from your car before it even turns 2 years old does something very specific to resale demand. Buyers start asking hard questions about long-term parts support, software updates, and dealer familiarity with the hardware. Most of them don't like what they find. A Prologue that stickered between $47,400 and $54,000 new is now being found in the $24,000 to $29,000 range used. Owners are leaving up to $25,000 behind in year 1. That's a 49% loss on a vehicle that looked completely reasonable at the point of purchase. 3. Volkswagen ID.4. A 54% first-year depreciation rate from one of the largest car manufacturers on the planet is not a number that gets thrown around casually. But here we are. The ID.4's infotainment system became a story of its own. Owners and reviewers compared it to outdated handheld calculators, sluggish response times, menus buried inside menus for functions that should take one tap. Volkswagen compounded this by pulling out the physical rear window buttons and replacing them with touch-sensitive surfaces that regularly frustrate daily drivers. These are the kinds of decisions that make buyers feel like the car was designed by engineers who don't actually drive. But the deeper wound came from VW's corporate direction. In late 2025, the company announced it was winding down ID.4 production at its Tennessee plant, to redirect resources toward gasoline models like the Atlas. That signal, a manufacturer steering away from its own EV lineup, tells the used market everything it needs to know. A car that originally sold between $41,500 and $48,000 is now trading in the $20,000 to $24,500 range. Owners are down up to $24,000 in the first year, and with the automaker already looking elsewhere, used buyers are doing the same. 2. Maserati Levante. The Levante was already fighting an uphill battle before Maserati announced it was discontinuing the model after the 2024 model year with no direct replacement coming. That decision alone would have hurt, but the problem started long before the axe dropped. Some trims of the Levante pushed past $92,000 and into $105,000 territory. Buyers writing checks at that level expect a level of craftsmanship that announces itself in the details. What they found instead were window switches and turn signal stalks that appear in standard Jeep Grand Cherokees. For someone spending six figures on what they were told is an exotic Italian SUV, that discovery is genuinely deflating. Reliability tracking shows roughly a 27% chance of a significant repair within the first 5 years. That figure might sound manageable on paper, but when the service costs for a Maserati are layered on top, the math turns ugly fast. Used Levantes are now trading between $41,000 and $46,000, meaning some owners have absorbed up to $59,000 in losses in a single year. The depreciation rate is 53%. One Fisker Ocean no-production vehicle in recent automotive history has collapsed this fast or this completely. 2-month-old Fisker Oceans that were purchased for over $69,000 were being appraised by major dealers at $21,000. That's nearly $50,000 gone before the tyres had any real wear on them. The cause is simple and total. Fisker filed for bankruptcy in mid-2024. From that point forward, the Ocean became what the industry calls an orphaned vehicle. The warranty evaporated. The service network shut down, and replacement parts essentially stopped existing in the supply chain. Owners on enthusiast boards have documented that a cracked windshield can effectively total the car, not because of structural damage, but because replacement glass cannot be sourced anywhere. Insurance companies have started treating minor accidents as write-offs for the same reason. Before the full collapse, Fisker tried to clear remaining inventory by cutting prices 40%. New Oceans going out the door for as little as $25,000. Every one of those transactions destroyed the pricing floor for every Ocean already on the road. At auction, some units have gone for $14,500. A vehicle that originally retailed between $52,000 and $61,500 is now sitting in the $16,000 to $21,000 range. If a buyer can be located at all, Year 1 owners have swallowed losses of $40,000 or more. The overall depreciation rate is 69%. That number is not a typo. Now flip it. While the vehicles above have been quietly wiping out owner equity, a small group of SUVs has been doing the exact opposite, holding value so well that buying used barely saves you anything at all. These are the ones where demand consistently outpaces available supply, and sellers rarely have to negotiate. One Toyota 4Runner, the 4Runner has been on sale in roughly the same fundamental form for decades, and that consistency is exactly why it holds value the way it does. There's a deeply loyal buyer base that knows what this vehicle is, trusts what it does, and is willing to pay close to new prices for used ones. A 4Runner with 40,000 miles on it routinely sells for within a few $1,000s of its original sticker. In some trim levels, used examples have actually sold above their original retail price. Demand from overlanding communities, off-road enthusiasts, and buyers who simply want something proven and reliable keeps the floor elevated year after year. The 2025 redesign added a hybrid option, which has brought in an entirely new segment of buyers without pushing away the original crowd. That combination, loyal existing base plus new audience, is a very healthy place for resale value to live. Two Jeep Wrangler. Note the distinction here. This is the standard gasoline Wrangler, not the 4xe plug-in that appears earlier on this list. The regular Wrangler has one of the most durable resale records in the American market. Buyers know what they're getting, a vehicle built around off-road use with a massive aftermarket support network and a community that keeps interest high. Wranglers are one of the few vehicles where a used example in good condition, even with 30,000 or 40,000 miles, can trade within 10 to 15% of its original sale price. The reason is basic supply and demand. Wrangler fans are not switching to alternatives. When they want one, they buy one, new or used, and they pay accordingly. That loyalty creates a floor that most vehicles never get close to. Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. The RAV4 Hybrid sits at an almost perfect intersection of demand and practicality. It offers meaningful fuel savings without the range anxiety that haunts full electric buyers. It's reliable in a way that Toyota's reputation makes people trust before they even look at the ownership data. And there is almost always more demand for these than there is available supply. Dealerships in many markets have waiting lists for new ones. That backlog flows directly into used pricing. A RAV4 Hybrid with a year or two of ownership behind it loses very little value because buyers who can't get a new one are willing to pay close to full price for a used one. First-year depreciation on the RAV4 Hybrid typically sits below 10%, making it one of the most financially stable SUV purchases available in this price range.